Just so many components of a teaching book that I wanted as a teacher when I was getting started, or in my first like 5 to 10 years of teaching, or 0 to 10 years of teaching. But like you as an educator understand that just there's just so much that goes in to teaching. And over the years, you just gather all of this knowledge and strategy and like things that worked and didn't work that you like just sometimes can't learn in the classroom, right? Like I did my graduate and my bachelor's degree in early childhood, and it was like not till I really stepped into the classroom did I learn the things that would take me to the next level as a teacher. And so it's just been such a fun book to write.
There's 5 picture books. Is that like per? So I know it's divided up into letter by
Yes,
letter.
yes.
So is it
And I can
five
go into
picture
that.
books per letter?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. Which is why I really want to connect with the picture. Like, as you know, like my heart is teaching, families, and writers. And so I really wanted to have a book that could be read by all three categories because I think, as teachers, we want to have that connection with parents. We want to be on the same page. So the book bridges that gap, and it takes strategies that you can use in the classroom. And then every chapter has a letter for families on how they can do all of those strategies at home and just change the way some things are done in the home environment. And then with picture book writers, I'm like, we do this for the kids. Like that is the purpose and the reason that we do the work that we do. Like, what better way than to ensure that our books are aligning with systems and strategies that teachers use in the classroom? And so I really wanted to find, there's so many times, and I'm sure you understand this, there's so many times when you're trying to teach behavior management, classroom management, and you just can't find the perfect book
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that goes along with that category. And so what I really wanted to do is make that lift easier on teachers. So, for example, there are books, the D chapter is for de-escalation. So there's 5 books that would support that. Now, are they all aligned completely with what I'm recommending? No, but they are a range of like examples of kids using de-escalation strategies so that when parents, families, teachers are rolling out their teaching of this, their method of a child de-escalating through their emotions, then they can pull out these picture books and supplement that, right? And be like, let's read
Mhm.
a book about this friend who de-escalates. Like this might not be how you choose to do it, but look at a
But
kid
here's
that
an
looks just
example.
like
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
feeling these strong feelings. So I really wanted to make that a staple of the book. And so yeah. Yeah. There's like a 96 visuals in the book, and it's all examples of students of mine or past students in action. They're writing examples. There's a lot of pictures of them rolling out the strategies themselves. But I really wanted to have a book that teachers could like grab a piece, put a piece back. Like you don't have to read it from cover to cover.
Right.
And so the whole my goal for this book is that it's if you picture it like a toy shelf, and each toy bucket has a letter from A to Z, which is one of the strategies. You can grab any chapter, any letter, you read it, you put it back, you go to the next one. Nothing needs to be read in order. Everything is a standalone. So you could do B, you could go to Z, you could go to M, and you read at your own pace and for your needs in the classroom. Or if you're sharing it with somebody, you can just pull out little pieces at a time. And so I wanted to make everything very practical and easy.
the first and second grade teacher experience coming out. And so that's where most of your strategies are coming from, is from your own experience, right?
Yes, and I also I've taught preschool 3 and pre-K 4 and kindergarten. So I've taught everything from preschool 3 through second grade now. I've worked with a lot of kids 3 through 5 because I do the music for our school musical, or I did in the past years, or supported with that. And so I've worked with a lot of kids of different ages, but a lot of the strategies actually come from my like younger pre-K kindergarten days
Uh-huh.
because they're just bigger kids with similar emotions, right? Like they're growing up, but
Yeah.
they're still young at
They're
heart.
still
And a lot
kids.
of the
Yeah.
things still work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
just have to change your language. You need to make it a little more, you have to change the way you say it. But a lot of the things still stick from my like early teaching days. It's mainly for educators. However, every single chapter has a whole section for families. It has a whole section of picture books. Um, and so really anyone who's working with young children, counselors, coaches, school support staff, front office staff, principals, administrators, anybody can utilize these chapters. And something that I also added into the introduction part of the book was a one-page chart that has all the different positions that you could be doing when you're working with kids. And then it has 5 chapters, or actually, maybe I can't remember if I put 3. I think I put 3 chapters that you should start with in the book. So
Okay.
anybody that works with kids could open to that table and
Uh-huh.
say, oh, where should I start? Which 3 should I go to first? And so
Right.
I wanted to make it easy so you don't have to read the whole book if maybe it didn't all align
Apply
with
to you
what,
in the moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so there's also a section for picture book writers. If you're
Oh,
a picture
nice.
book writer or a writer for children, here are 3 chapters that might resonate with you. Is the R is for representation chapter. And
Uh,
so the R chapter is focused on ensuring that your entire classroom represents both you and your students, that every kid can see themselves on the walls, in the library, on videos that you're watching, and pictures you're using for
mhm.
examples, and PowerPoints that you're showing, just making sure that every child feels like it is a place that feels like home to them.
Uh-huh.
And so that also reflects on our picture book writers, right? Like
Yeah.
ensuring that we have diversity and me being like I'm neurodivergent, and so it's really important for me not to just have representation of races, but also to have representation of all different kind of neurodivergent conditions. And so that chapter is really important to me, and I wanted writers to be like, oh, here are some things that I could write about from my personal experiences or from my life. Like it doesn't just have to be where I'm from, where I come from. Like it can be my, my life experiences.
Yeah.
So that's just an example of how someone could utilize.
Really, really appreciate that. You know,
Yeah.
how you've got the teacher bit, but you've got the family bit, and you've got the, hey, even if you're a picture book writer, like here's something for you in this
Mhm.
book that otherwise is for, elementary, early childhood educators. So
Yeah.
that is really, really, I think that really amplifies the potential audience and the potential usage of the book when you provide those little helps along the way. So
Mhm.
your chart sounds amazing.
Thank you. I think it really is. There are so many kids who are not, auditory learners. They are visual learners, right? And so you can tell them all day that you need them to do something or what your expectation might be, and it might not click until you're showing them an example in a picture book. And like
Right.
what better way for them to see that than to be reading while they do it? And I just think it's so important to have a wide range of examples. And they're hard to find, right? Like I had to dig. That was harder than writing the book.
I'm
Was
sure
me
it was.
finding,
Yeah.
yeah, finding picture books that could align somehow. And I was trying as hard as I could also to keep them within the last 5 years because I want them to be current.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah, I hope that picture book writers and the authors that I included in the book are like understand how important their book is going to be to families and teachers that read. and want to use it as an example. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll get to connect with a lot of authors and chat about how to align books in the classroom, you know, have many conversations about that.
But the reality is, if we could come together and use similar language or use similar strategies, certainly that continuity of strategies from the
Mhm.
classroom to the home life and vice versa,
Yes.
like that would be really helpful. That consistency, especially if you talk about neurodivergent kids,
Hmm.
or special needs kids, not just them, but especially them that really thrive on routine and,
Yeah.
that structure. And if you can keep that structure consistent from school to home like that, that's bound to be nothing but positive. Way. Like you totally are an expert, and people will benefit from the experience that you bring and also the background you bring as a
Yeah.
neurodivergent creator and teacher. And so
Yeah.
that lends just a whole nother layer that you have an insight that other people, I mean, I don't have that insight, but
Mhm.
you do. And so
Mhm.
I can benefit from what you bring to the table, what you've put into this book, that is something that I can't pull out of myself. So
Yeah.
it's helpful. It's
Thank
wonderful.
you. Yeah. Yeah. And there's just so many exciting things going on in the neurodivergent community where it's just becoming such a celebration of who you are and what you're capable of doing and your strengths. And so I wanted to really highlight that. That's the end chapter of the book. The end is for neurodiversity. And it goes into just like how you can support your child at school or at home, or even if your child has a friend or a cousin or a sibling, and how they can be open to celebrating that rather than looking down upon it, right? Like I grew up always worrying that someone was going to be looking down upon my tics and all kinds of things. I have Tourette syndrome. But I think now it's flipped, like the
Mhm.
view of conditions have like just completely flipped the nail on its head, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm
Totally.
excited to share more about that.
Yeah.
Just really
Yeah.
excited for it to be out in the world, and I really hope it's helpful for people.
I
I really
can't
do.
imagine it not being helpful, Alicia. I mean, I think you've come at it from such a thoughtful place of help, of being a
Yeah.
help and of bringing people together. I think it sounds wonderful.
Thanks. I really just want it to be like, I am no expert. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm any sort of expert. Um, I just want to take some of the heavy lifting off, right? If it gives you 10 minutes of your time back from searching books, if it gives you an example of an anchor chart that you didn't need to Google, those are the kind of things that, like, just if it saves you a couple minutes, that's a win to me.
A B C D E F G H I J K L L M N O P Q R S T U V W